It's a foggy morning. The squirrels are scampering around these pecan trees. And that rooster you hear, that's one of the babies. Either that or Sparky has a sore throat. What a wonderful morning, though. It's time to take down my autumn wreath and put up my Christmas wreath that says joy across the front. This is on my back door where we come in the most. There we go. I mentioned something about scrap fabrics and making a quilt this winter. I don't know if you remember me saying that sometime recently, but today I thought I would pull out the scraps and show you what I have. I'm not a quilter and I don't know much about quilting, and I've never liked quilting because it hurts my hands, I would think, to do all that handwork. So I'm going to try to do a machine made quilt. And I'm going to try to do a log cabin pattern somehow so that I can just work on the edges and don't have all that bulk that I'm trying to shove into my machine. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I thought I would show you the scraps that had been given to me by my friend who makes fabric napkins for the farmer's market. She also sells on Etsy, although I don't know the name of her store. But her name is Pat, and she gives me all of her scraps, and she has lots of them. And so I thought, if I'm going to do something with these scraps, I better get going. So let me show you what I have and what I think I want to do. I think first I'd better clean off the dining room table. I've talked about Pat's scraps before. Before I get started, I had to dash over and get this yarn out of the steamer because it's ready. I'm going to go hang it up. It was rather twisty before, but now after steaming, it's hanging really straight. I thwacked it on the door jamb and to set the twist, and it seems to be doing really nicely. So I'll go hang that up in just a second. Okay, scraps. The scraps are not all identical, but there's certain sizes, certain types you see here. Some of them are pretty thin and have a selvage like that. And I am probably going to throw those away because I don't want to mess with selvages, and I don't want to have to cut the selvage off or not use it and have a piece that's that thin. That's probably somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch. It's just kind of small. The nice thing about these scraps is that they are all the same weight of fabric. Now here's another piece that's about somewhere between about 1/2 inch, probably about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more. So some of those are going to go away. It's a fairly thin piece too, but others are about this wide. Now that's over 1 inch and probably over 1 foot long. And those are the ones I want to keep. And often they will come in big bundles like this. I have a bunch of them. Very nice. So what I want to do today is go through these scraps and sort them and find the ones that I really do want to throw out. Now these are doubled. I want to show you one of these. Yeah, this is a doubled one. So it's nice and wide. Isn't that pretty? And because she's given me so many, I do think I'll have enough once I go through all of them and find the good ones that I want to keep. I just don't want any that are too thin because I don't think I'd be able to work with them. So you have these kind of right side by side. This one's really too narrow. This one's probably workable. I wish I had all 2-inch ones, but I don't think I'll be able to do that. Okay, oh, this is very pretty. Again, this one's been folded over. Isn't that nice? She makes so many cloth napkins. I tried to find her Etsy store so that I could share it with you, and maybe I'll try again. I know her local business name is MasonCreekNCDesigns. She makes really beautiful napkins. They're 18 by 18. They're really big. Almost, if you had a little teeny table, you could just use it as a little tablecloth. And they're all cotton, and they wash well, and you can just hand press them when they come out of the dryer. You don't need to iron them, which that's the pain of napkins. But this is a really pretty one. Sometimes I can't tell if they're doubled over or not. Isn't that pretty? And because she's picked out all of the fabric, well, see, here's another bundle of these. I'll have to measure those. I just think that's more than an inch. After you've sewn for years, even the little dab that I've sewn, you kind of get an eye for how much is how much, what an inch looks like, what 5/8 of an inch looks like. That's a pretty one. Okay, so I'm going to sort through these, and maybe I'll show you what I get when I'm done. I know you don't want to see the whole sorting process. This may take me all morning. It's a little bit later. I didn't stick with it like I should have, but this is what I have so far. I decided to roll up the different widths. I had 3 different stacks, as you saw, and I decided to kind of roll them up and put them in here in the handy spinach container. I'm going to use it for this too, and keep it stored in here. I already have a whole bag, one of those big bags of scraps that are rejects that I'm not going to use for this project. I may try to weave rag rugs, because I have some of those from years and years ago, from when I lived in rural Iowa. There was a man who did rugs. I can't remember if I've mentioned him before, or the trips that we would make to his house, and we would swap the scraps that we had sewn into long strips of fabric. We would give him those, and in return he would give us a certain number of rugs for free. It was quite exciting, and I still have them almost 30 years later. So they're pretty cool. Anyway, I wouldn't mind making some of those someday, but that's for way down the road. But I only emptied 1 bag of scraps, and I have, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. So this will be a long project, but I've made a start. So I have all the planning yet to do, but I have the fabric, and now I'm going to start at least getting it laid out flat and eliminating the ones I don't want. So that's the first step. Thanks for looking at that. Isn't it pretty fabric? It is very, very nice, and I'm excited about working with it. I'm afraid that my coop may be a little too small for the number of birds I have now. Let's go let them out, and then I'll get their food. This whole pen and coop used to look so tidy. It was never beautiful, but it was very tidy, and now it's looking pretty tired. Let's look in here and see what they look like this morning. Oh, they're all down there. They're waiting for me. Okay, guys, come on out. Oh, there's Coco. See, the babies come out first. I wish I knew which one was crowing. I think it's that brown one right there. He's so pretty, though. And I think that one is a rooster, perhaps, too. I think I have 2 roosters and 3 hens, but I'm not totally sure. It's a little early this morning. They probably are wondering, where are the food trays, Mama? I better go get them. I keep my chicken feed in a cooler that seals well to keep the mice out of it. I used to use this big black tub over here, but its lid, well, the mice ate through the corner of the lid. And so, but this cooler is sturdier than that. I have to give them a whole lot of feed because I let them free range. After about 11:30 or 12 every day, I let them free range. I give them a chance to lay eggs first. They're not wild about layer pellets, but they eat them every morning because they're hungry. Okay, here comes Bibby. Bibby is molting, and that's why her neck is pale and white and has no feathers on it, and she looks kind of ratty. Who else is missing? I think everybody else is out. Bibby is the bottom hen on the pecking order, and now that she's molting, she is really, really hated, and so she doesn't want to go into the coop at night because she knows they're going to pick on her. Now, I read people online say that that chickens will not eat leaves in the fall, but my hens do. They eat leaves all the time. You see Bibby over there eating leaves? They must have some kind of, yeah. And look how big he is next to Bibby. She's molting, and I think maybe Pepper is molting too. I'm not sure. Oh, it's so much fun to watch them when they eat because they really enforce the pecking order. And one bird will peck at another one and say, "You're not allowed to eat here." Notice how the babies are over there? That's because the big hens won't allow them to come eat. They'll peck them on the head. Now he, I think, is a he. That pretty brown one. I'd rather have him as my rooster than Mr. Sparky because Mr. Sparky is a naked neck and I don't like that look. Went for new babies. But Mr. Sparky is such a kind rooster. He never tries to attack me, never gives me any trouble. He is very, very big, though. He's almost as big as a turkey. He's a little bit heavy. Look at that baby looking at me. And Henny Penny always gets in the middle of the food tray and throws the food around. I don't know why she does that. Anyway, he's honestly a bit heavy and big for mating with these hens. It's a little hard on him, I think. I don't know that for sure. But otherwise, he's such a good... Oh, Henny Penny. She wastes so much food. Now the babies are allowed to eat. Sheena's letting them come in for a nibble. I love that one right there. That is Coco right there. She's so pretty. And that one next to her is the other one I think is probably a rooster. Look at that rooster tail. I called him Lulu, but I'm going to have to come up with another name. And then there's another one that looks a lot like him over there next to the brown one. And that's Liza. I think Liza might be a girl. Can you see that? Well, maybe you can't see the difference in the tails, but see that brown one? See how his tail just sticks out a little bit more? And this one too. It's kind of an indication of a rooster. Yeah, he's starting to get spiky looking feathers. Well, honestly, I don't want to keep 3 roosters. Nothing against roosters, but I don't want to feed them. And having 3 roosters with this many hens, they probably would be overmated, which is not good for the hens. It stresses them out. Those 2 were about to have an altercation. Yeah, that's Dandy, the white one. And she was the biggest one for so long, and now she's the littlest one. And that brown one over there, that was the last one that was born that was so teeny. And now, oh look, they almost had a fight. And now, he's almost the biggest one. Another son, he's a rooster. Okay, that's what's happening in the chicken pen this morning. Bye-bye, guys. See you later. Well, I thought I'd mention one more slightly unpleasant aspect of chicken keeping, and that is cleaning up after them, because at night is when they poop the most. They really poop all the time, but they poop at night when they're up on their roost. And this has produced an interesting situation this morning. I want to tell you about the changes that happened in my flock yesterday. So yesterday I noticed that Henny Penny, who was the broody mama who raised all these babies, these 5 babies, that she wasn't hanging around with them anymore. She used to always walk around with them. They were 6, and she would go everywhere with them. And yesterday she was hanging out with Sparky and the other hens again, which means that she was done being a mama. And the other thing that she always did with them was sleep with them. They always slept down here in the broody box. Now, I hate to show you this. This is their coop, and it's, every morning it's full of poop. And when 6 of them were sleeping in this box, even as big as they are now, I mean, look at that look how big he is now. In the morning, after they left, I would lift up this flap here, and it would just be full of poop, and I would have to get my little spatula that's designated for this purpose, and I would clean out the poop every single morning. It was a lot of poop. Then last night, I couldn't get this one and those 2 right there. I could not get them to go into the coop to go to sleep. They didn't want to go in there. It's like they knew that Henny Penny wasn't there to be with them and protect him anymore, and they were scared to go in there or something. Then later on they did, I guess when the other birds were asleep. Look at the 5 of them hanging out still. And then when I came in and lifted this flap to clean the broody box this morning, there was no poop in there. Nobody slept in there last night. Which means that all those birds are trying to get up on the roost. And that's the roost. It's pretty long, but I don't know if it's long enough for 11 birds. And Adam asked me this yesterday, said, do we need to make more roost space? And we could run one perpendicular across this way, maybe from this corner to there, and maybe one on the other end. Just don't know, but I think they might need more space. So a great change occurred in the flock. The broody mama has removed herself. The 5 babies are on their own, and they're going to have to find their way in the world and find their place in the flock. And there will be a great upheaval among all these birds to decide who's on the top and who's on the bottom and where everybody goes in between. This little girl is going to have to find her spot. They're about almost 12 weeks old now, and 3 months. So they're about 2 months from beginning to lay. And in the next 2 months, I will know for certain which ones are the roosters and which ones are the hens. That nice purring sound in the background is my new washing machine. Some of you will be glad to know that I actually have a machine now that will spin. The old one, which was a Giantex Easy Life portable mini, like half-size washer, we bought because it was cheaper, but it was mostly plastic parts, and the parts around the drum kind of sheared off, which was why it wasn't spinning. So now I have a nice full-size washer. Let me show you what I'm doing this morning. There's that lovely washing machine. And what I'm doing this morning is cracking pecans, filling a bowl so that I'll have something to pick tonight when I'm watching TV. Okay, I'm going to talk over the washer because I'm afraid to pause it, because I'm afraid if I pause it I won't be able to get it started again, because it's it's one of those fancy new sensing machines that keeps water levels low, but it's tricky to work. So of this bowl of pecans, I had one that was too shriveled, one that was very black and moldy, and another one that was too shriveled. But only 3 were bad and the rest were all really lovely and fully plump and developed. So I'll be picking these tonight.